So a lot of people have been asking me recently how I ended up becoming both a doctor and a content creator, and it's been a wild ride, somehow leading to things like a Peabody Award, Forbes 30 Under 30, becoming a TED Fellow, and even getting named to the TIME100 creator list. And because there's been so many new faces here, I want to take a second to reintroduce myself and share my journey. My name is Dr. Joel Brevel. I'm an internal medicine resident doctor, but online you might know me better as a medical mythbuster. Over the past 6 years, I've built my platform by breaking down medical myths and exposing health inequities. My goal is to talk about the intersections of medicine, health, tech, politics, and how those intersections actually shape the care that different communities receive. But my journey here really began in medical school. One day we were learning about a condition called cyanosis, which is when the skin turns blue. And I kept looking at my skin and saying, my skin won't turn blue. So I raised my hand and asked the professor, what would cyanosis look like in someone with darker skin? And he gave a great answer. You can look at the nail beds, you can look at the eyes, you can look at the mucous membranes. But I kept asking myself, if I hadn't asked that question, when would have been the first time that I recognized cyanosis in someone with darker skin? That moment made me realize how often we were talking about medicine without including patients that were looking like me. And it pushed me to start making 30-second TikToks about the things that I wasn't learning in medical school. Like how pulse oximeters, devices that measure oxygen saturation, don't read as accurately in darker skin tones. How kidney equations and lung equations have historically diagnosed people differently based on race norming. How Black women are 3 times as likely to die during childbirth compared to white women. Before I knew it, people were starting to let me know that my TikToks were being used in medical school and nursing school curriculum. In 2021, TikTok named me the app's voice of change, and I started being invited to speak at places like Google, the FDA, and eventually the White House. What mattered most were the personal stories. People who said that my videos were helping them to get a cancer diagnosis, to advocate for themselves in the hospital, to even move up 5 years on the kidney transplant list. And since then, the journey has only expanded. I've had my story told in the New York Times, I've spoken on NBC, and even been featured in Fox News. In 2024, I was interviewed by Kelly Clarkson on her show, and I gave an official TED Talk, which you can watch online. I've spoken at the White House about health inequities, I've met with Vice President Harris about reproductive justice, and last year I was even invited to the Nobel Peace Prize to interview the survivors of Hiroshima. And it hasn't stopped there. I host a podcast called The Dose with the Commonwealth Fund, where I interview health policy experts. And I also co-created and star in an animated digital TV show for kids called The Doctor Is In. Not to mention that I'm a full-time resident, meaning that a majority of my time is actually spent in the hospital taking care of patients. As you can tell, this has been such an insane journey. But the one thing I can promise is I will continue to provide evidence-based, science-backed information, especially in an ecosystem today where it's hard to know what is truth. Because this isn't just about sharing facts. It's about building a community determined to make healthcare better for everyone. So whether this is your first or 100th video of mine that you're seeing, thank you for being here and for being a part of what I think is truly the most powerful community